Good evening, good evening. Welcome everybody. It is terrific Tuesday, turning around Tuesday. This is your host, Miss Angela Hayes, here at the Angela Hayes Podcast, Life with No Limits. We are so happy for those of you that are joining in. We are live streaming today from our YouTube channel, Angela Hayes, and we are also live streaming here at our business page, a unique Foundations Enterprise. So those of you that are tuning in live, and as you come in on the broadcast, we just ask that you would put in the feed the city and state from which you are listening in from. We are truly excited to be here. Once again, we have made it to February 2024. We actually debuted our podcast last month, the entire month of January. And I want to say a special thank you to those of you that were a part of that, and those of you that have listened to our podcast and has given us some wonderful, awesome feedback. I am so gracious to you today, and I so appreciate you for being here in this community. And so in this month, we know that we are celebrating, we are honoring, and we are commemorating Black History Month. And we are here at the Angela Hayes podcast. We have decided to bring on leaders and different individuals from different industries, those that are trailblazing, that are making their mark, and some of which we'll find out today has already made their mark, but they are continuing on to inspire and to motivate, to mentor, and to coach many others in business. And so we are excited about that. But before we get started today, I just wanted to draw your attention to the bottom of the screen. And so, those of you, we have decided to accept any type of donations to this broadcast. Those that are looking or would like to continue to support us, the information is listed there at the bottom of the screen. You can Zelle us at that number, 979 334 2648, or you can cash app us at Angelia Hayes. And a portion of our donations will be given to our 5013C company called Life Revision Center in San Antonio, Texas. And so that is an organization that is doing things in the community for our youth, okay, and educating them in the educational realm. And so we want to be a part of that. So today we have this awesome privilege, and I'm just excited because, this is a person that is so dear to me. She is like another mother for me, but she is one of the greatest, one of the most phenomenal coaches, mentors in business and entrepreneurship. And we have our special guest with us today. Her name is Miss Fran Fleming. That's right. Miss Fran Fleming is in the house. If you could put some high fives or raise your hands in that chat and welcome with me, Miss Fran Fleming. I just want to tell you, and I want to say a little about Miss Fran. So I have a few words here that I'm gonna read about her, and you're gonna hear more and more about Miss Fran. Fran Fleming stands as a towering figure in the final expense insurance industry, a testament to her unwavering commitment and expertise honed over 4 decades. Did you hear that? Over 4 decades. Her dedication to service has not only earned her the prestigious recognition as the number 10 agency in the country with senior life insurance as this year's annual conference, but has also cemented her reputation as a beacon of mentorship and generosity. With a career spanning over 40 years, Fran's deep seated knowledge of life insurance is matched only by her passion for empowering others. She is a mentor at heart, revered for her ability to guide and inspire both her team and partner agents. Fran's approach to success is not kept under lock and key. Instead, she openly shares her strategies, fostering an environment of growth and learning. Her contributions extend beyond the boardroom and into the community where she is known for her service oriented spirit. Fran's philosophy intertwines professional excellence with a profound desire to uplift those around her, making her not just a leader in her field, but a cherished pillar of the community. Her legacy is not measured in numbers alone, but in the countless lives she has touched, I'm telling you, through her giving nature and her love for training the next generation and in insurance professionals. And so today we want to give a warm welcome to Miss Fran Fleming, a partner with Senior Life Insurance. Welcome, Miss Fran. How are you today?
Thank you, Angela Hayes. Thank you so much. Yes, you are. You are my daughter. Thank
Yes.
you so much. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Well, yes, and I'm just floored about this opportunity because I believe that it is so many people out there that needs to hear what you have to say in this life insurance final expense business. There is so many people yet to be educated and to really understand, and that is something that you do tirelessly every single day. Fran puts out, I don't care what, she's there to serve others. And so here today, Miss Fran, I just would like you to share. First of all, I want to get started with the part she does life insurance, but the specialty is final expense planning. And if you would just do us a favor and share and expound more about what is final expense planning.
Thank you so much. Final expense planning is actually setting aside a plan, a policy that is going to take care of everything on the worst day of your family's life when they have lost you. I
Hmm.
know we have so many people who will say, I have life insurance,
Yes.
and that's great. But
Mhm.
do you have a final expense policy? Because what we want to make you aware of is that that life insurance policy that you have is really for your family.
Mhm.
Because if you haven't planned and set aside funds for your final expense, when something happens, then your family will have to take that life insurance policy that was meant for them into the funeral home. And because you didn't plan anything, you didn't lock in any prices,
Mhm.
chances are the funeral home will get, if not all of that policy, most of it. And then your family will only get maybe the leftovers. So it's what we want to do when we come into the home to talk to families about final expense. First, we want to educate them because
Yes.
so many people don't understand everything that's involved on the worst day of that family's life.
Yes.
I'll have families say to me, oh, I have my cemetery plots, but that's not taking care of your funeral.
Mhm.
I've even had veterans say, oh, everything is taken care of with the government. But what they don't understand is that only the burial is taken care of. They're
Yes.
still responsible for their funeral. So, what we want to do and what we do
Yes.
first is educate. Because when a person can understand what will be involved. And when
Yes.
they can understand that the plan, the policy that we offer is going to actually take away emotional stress and financial stress on the
Mhm.
worst day of that family's life.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. And Miss Fran, I'm thank you for sharing that. And I know that you have seen so many different types of situations. What has been some of the give us a couple scenarios that you have witnessed, uh, those that have the final expense in place versus those that do not.
Okay, we'll start with those that do not because we have the percentage of those that do not is much higher than
Mm.
those who have the final expense in place. Um, of course, I've worked directly with funeral homes for well over 10 years. So I have had an opportunity to see so many different scenarios, and it saddens me when I'm in the conference room with that family and they have nothing, and they don't know where they're going to get the funds to take care of this.
Yes.
Um, I'll give you an example. I had experienced a family who had lost their mother,
Mm-hmm.
and she had left three daughters and her only living brother, which was their uncle. So they all came in to make the arrangements.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have any insurance. And the first question they asked the funeral director is, do you have a payment plan?
Wow.
Now, there are no payment plans at
Mm-hmm.
time of need. The payment plans are before. That's why we want to get with you prior to and
Yes.
show you how you can set aside as little as maybe $50 a month to take care of this.
Mm-hmm.
And they now he did tell them there is a payment plan,
Mm-hmm.
but how is your credit score? Because
Oh,
there are
okay.
companies that will finance it.
Wow.
They didn't even qualify for that because their credit score was so low. So
Oh,
their uncle is sitting there, and you can see on his face he's realizing that this is something that he's going to have to step up and take care of. So he
yes.
actually asked the funeral director if he would step out with him for a moment. And when he stepped out of the room, he was able to give the funeral director all of his personal information to get everything financed. Now,
Wow.
I'll tell you what that did for those young ladies, though. I was able to meet with them probably about a month after the service, and
Mm-hmm.
they all did take out a final expense plan. You know why? Because
Wow.
they did not want their children to ever have to go through what they had gone through.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
and that's what we want to avoid is that financial stress. You
Yes.
don't even have time to grieve when you're sitting there trying to figure out how you're going to get the funds to take care of this. And
Mm-hmm.
it's something that they don't and you don't encounter this every day, so you really don't know what to expect.
Right.
That's why when we come into the home, let us sit down with you
Mm-hmm.
and share this. Most people don't want to talk about it, but you know what happens?
Yes.
Once they do talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
they'll thank you for it because it's like a burden that's lifted off of them.
Yes.
And they're at peace now. And
Absolutely.
they'll say, thank you. I feel better now. So
Absolutely.
it's not as morbid. It's not morbid at all, really. It's just something that you show your family really and truly how much you love them when you take care of those final expenses because that's how they're going to remember you.
Yes, yes. And it's so I can't stress enough how important it is people to have that in place. And like Miss Fran is saying, I mean you'll actually be at peace. It's like a relief. It's like a burden, like you say, Miss Fran, lifted off of someone's shoulders during
Yeah,
that time. And
yeah.
so this is what would you say to individuals that say, well, I have life insurance. I don't need any more life insurance. My $50,000 policy is going to take care of everything my family needs. What would you say to those individuals?
Well, and I hear that a lot. And what I'll say to them is this I'll say, I want to show you how to save thousands of dollars on your final expenses. And in showing you that, it starts with that policy that you say you have, that $50,000 policy that you have.
Yes,
Wouldn't you rather see that policy go to your family than go to
yes,
the funeral home?
yes.
Because here's what's going to happen. When something happens, your family's going to get that policy and they'll go into the funeral home. And the funeral director is going to present to them a general price list. That
Yes.
general price list is not going to be altered. There will be no discounts given on that general price list because this is an ad need situation. And
Hmm.
so if that funeral cost is coming, and it happens to even today, people are paying $25,000 for a funeral.
Wow. Yes.
But of course, the average funeral today is really around 13 to 15,000. But
Hmm.
it goes up because what happens is you haven't made any plans. Let's give this scenario. So you've just
Okay.
lost your mom. We
Hmm.
all love our mother.
Yes.
And when you arrive at the funeral home, you're sitting down at the conference table And what they're going to do, they're going to take you into the selection room, the casket selection room.
Mm.
The casket selection room has all of these beautiful caskets. And guess what? The most beautiful of all of them are up front as soon as you walk in.
Okay.
So when you walk in, you're grieving, you've lost your mother. And
Mm-hmm.
you look at this $10,000 casket and you
Wow.
say, that's the one I want.
Mm-hmm.
That's for my mother. Now, you'll come back to the conference table, and to that $10,000 is added the other services. You're going to
Okay.
have professional services of the funeral director and staff. You're going
Yes.
to have embalming. You're going to have the actual service, whether the cost of that, whether it's held at the church of your choice or the chapel. You're going to have transportation
Mm-hmm.
because at the time of death, they will have to come and bring you into their care. You're going to have the hearse. You're going to have limousines. You're going to have the flowers. You're going to have the programs. All of that's added to that $10,000 casket you
Mm-hmm.
just selected.
Every.
Now, that $50,000 policy, you see, it's being eaten up. And now
Yes.
family is going to get the leftovers.
Wow.
I want to share something else with you.
Mm-hmm.
Funeral homes do not take policies directly anymore because the insurance company requires a death certificate to pay the claim. We
Mm.
don't know how long that death certificate is going to take. We
Right.
don't know.
Right.
So the funding company is willing to wait. You know why? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's their business. They have the money. So
Mm-hmm.
they're going to write out a check for whatever amount the funeral director says that service is costing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to add a fee to that. Now, what has happened when you were in that arrangement room, all of the papers that you were signing, one
Yes.
of them, you assigned that policy to the third party funding company. Now, this was explained to you, but
Yes.
you're grieving.
Mm-hmm.
You're just signing what they're telling you to sign, and they're telling you what it is, but you're not comprehending that at that moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so now that $50,000 policy has been assigned to the third party funding company,
Oh my goodness.
and they're willing to wait for the death certificate because
Okay.
they're going to charge you a fee for that.
Wow.
They're going to
So what
get the
you
50.
saying there, Miss Fran, if I can just
Mhm.
hop in there,
Yes,
the funeral home is not they're not going to wait, but the third party is the one that will wait for the death certificate.
correct.
So people with insurance, say for instance, okay, I'm a retiree at okay, I'll say Dow Chemical
Hmm.
at you know big corporation or from the city government, from counties, wherever it is, they have an insurance policy in place, life insurance. But if that individual expires, that insurance will only be released at a later date.
Correct.
Oh wow.
It
Yeah.
will only be released that they are not going to pay the claim until they have a death certificate. And
Okay.
I do hear this from people saying, I have insurance on my job. Well,
Mhm.
first of all, you don't know if you're going to be on that job at time of death.
True.
And usually when you retire, you lose that coverage. Or if they let you
True.
continue it, you can continue it at your attained age. So you're
Mhm.
older now, so it's going to cost more.
Wow. Yes.
So, and then they will require a death certificate.
Mhm.
So again, that policy at your employer isn't going to be released to take care of the services. And
Mhm.
the funeral home will require those services to be paid in
Yeah.
advance at least 72 hours before the service.
Yes.
There will not be a service.
Okay.
So if you've ever had someone who's lost a loved one
Mhm.
and you are waiting to find out when the services are, usually if
Mhm.
there's a delay in the date of the service,
Okay.
it's because of funds
But
that are not available.
mhm. Mhm. Okay. So it's really beneficial for people to have a final expense policy
Yes,
in
it
addition to what they already have, if they have anything in place at all.
correct, correct. And with the final expense policy that's offered by Senior Life Insurance Company, they
Yes.
do require a death certificate.
Wow.
So their claim is paid within 24 to 48 hours after your death. simply by the funeral home faxing over to them what we refer to as a report of death. They
And
will
that can be submitted from the funeral home, correct?
accept. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they are listening to you talk about all the expenses that are incurred over the course of the death.
Yes.
You really do need funds in hand to take care of these things.
Yes, you do. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's something to think about. Those of you that are listening, and if you have any questions, I just encourage you to put it in the chat. I mean, Miss Fran is 40 years plus years in the industry. She can answer anything. She can
Well,
answer anything as it
I
relates to
try.
life insurance and final expense. So while we have this insurance guru here on the platform, I encourage you to ask any questions. Welcome, welcome, Miss Carmen from Katy, Texas. Thank you for joining. Carmen says this is excellent information and so true. And this is really good. So this is really good. This is things that, as you said earlier, Miss Fran, that people don't really want to talk about, don't really want to have the conversation,
Mhm.
but it is so needed.
Yes.
And over your span of being in insurance industry and you trailblazing and setting records, what would you say to maybe it's a married couple, maybe it's a single individual, maybe it's a young adult, or maybe it's parents that have young adults? Is there something available for their children, and how can their children benefit? Can they be put on the policy? Do they need their own separate policy? Can you speak to that for us?
Yes. They can actually, if from ages, Senior Life will insure everyone from age 30 days old to 85 years of age.
Okay.
And Senior Life allows you to put your children on your policy as a rider if their age is from 30 days old to 17. And so what that means is they're going to get the same benefit that you have, God forbid, if
Mhm.
something should happen to them. They're on your policy until they're 25 years of age. Now,
Okay.
you can also, besides having them on your policy as a rider, you can also take out an additional individual policy on them. And
Mhm.
what I recommend for the younger age children to take out what we refer to as a 20 pay life. Because what
Okay.
that means is in 20 years, they have a paid up policy for the rest of their life. And
Mhm.
since it is a whole life policy, it has built up cash. And so they could be a rider on their parents' policy,
Mhm.
knowing that at age 25 they will no longer be a rider on that policy. But the parents, if it fits within their budget, they can also take out an individual policy on their children. And I would recommend the 20 pay life. If they take
Okay.
it out when they're a year old, at
Uh-huh.
age 21, they have a paid up
Wow.
for the rest of their life, which is great because you never know what kind of health issues they might incur along the way, which
Absolutely.
would cause them to have to pay a higher premium.
Yes, and that makes sense. And then, we, special in our day and age, we see people dying of all ages, young,
Yeah, yeah.
and we never know what's going to happen. So with senior life, I know a lot of times people want to know about accidental death.
Mhm.
Is that included in the policy? Because I know in some you have to actually add that. So with senior life, is accidental death included with the policy?
Accidental death is on every policy with Senior Life. And because Senior Life will insure everyone regardless of their health,
Hmm.
that means everyone gets accidental death. Senior Life will even insure a person's loved one that's incarcerated, and
Oh,
that policy also
okay.
has accidental death. And
Awesome.
that's an exception, and
Hmm.
that's to me that's a plus
Yeah.
for the benefit of getting Senior Life because most insurance companies, if you do have a policy with them,
Hmm.
it will, and you have accidental death on that policy, it
Mhm.
will state that at age 65, that rider is no longer available. And
Mhm.
most insurance companies will not put accidental death on you if you are 65 years of age or older. And
Oh,
the reason being is because they look at seniors as being prone to fall. And when
right.
they fall, there could be a hip injury. And then that hip injury could
Yeah.
lead to death. So then
Uh-huh.
that would be an accidental death benefit that they would have to pay. The
Mhm.
senior life puts accidental death. It's included with every policy.
Oh, yeah, that's
That's right.
wonderful.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Miss Fran, and just kind of bringing clarity to that area. We have another question for you,
Hmm.
Mr. Johnson. Kenji says, "Can you have whole life term insurance and
The policy that y'all was talking about first.
can you have whole life and term insurance?"
Term life and the policy that y'all was talking about it first. The end,
Yes, you can.
first.
Yes. You
Yes,
see,
final expense.
Yeah, final
you
and whole life and term life.
Okay.
Can you have all three? And why would that make sense?
Okay, so the question is, can you have whole life, term, and final expense all in a policy? And why does that make sense to have all three?
okay? Here's why it would make sense to have all three. First, let's start with the term policy.
Okay.
Just is titled term policy. That means
Hmm.
it's only for a certain period of time. It
Okay.
could be a 10-year term. It could be a term to age 65. It could be a term to age 75. But at
Yes.
some point, you will no longer have that insurance.
It'll
Okay.
term out.
It terms out
Okay.
and the premiums increase. Okay.
Yes.
Now, whole life is just what it says. It's for your whole life. The
Okay.
policy is with you for your whole
Yeah,
life.
I
And
like that.
yes, and the premiums never change and it builds up cash. So
Okay.
let's say you might want to borrow against your policy, you can do that. A term policy does not build up cash, so at the end of the term, then you have nothing. I would like to share with you when I started with in the insurance industry. I started with Prudential Insurance, and I'm so grateful for that because I learned so much with that company selling term and whole life. So we had to learn the difference, and we had to learn when it was best for that family or for that individual.
Hmm.
And one of the scenarios that they gave was this: all of us should have or want to have a place to stay.
Yes, ma'am.
So we can either rent or buy.
Hmm.
We're not always, everyone isn't able in the beginning to buy a home, so they rent.
Yes.
And so that was the example they gave with term insurance and whole life insurance. A younger family needs a lot of insurance. They
Okay.
need that term insurance. Uh,
Uh-huh.
if they have the husband and wife in their 20s, young kids, what
Hmm.
we would say to them is if something happened to the breadwinner today,
Hmm.
how much is needed in order for the family to continue in the way that they're accustomed and the need. So you're
Okay.
talking about a young family, two kids. Unfortunately, the father is killed in an accident on the way to work. Okay.
Hmm.
That mother still has to raise those children, get them through college. She has a mortgage note. So we're talking about easy a $500,000 term policy.
Okay.
Very inexpensive. It's
Yes.
very expensive. The
Yes.
younger you are, it's very expensive because again, you are renting that insurance. That's like
Gotcha.
the renter renting their house. Now,
Yes.
with whole life insurance, you're buying that and
Hmm.
it's building up cash, just like when you're buying a home and it builds up equity.
Okay.
With a final expense policy,
Oh, yeah.
the final expense policy is designed just for that, to take care of your final expenses. So there is a limit as to how much you can even qualify for on a final expense policy, which
Okay.
is $30,000.
Okay.
Because $30,000 will be enough for your final expenses with some left over, actually, the way Senior Life has set it up to coordinate with Legacy, their membership.
Okay.
So, yes, you want all three. If you
Okay.
are all two, if you're a young family, you want the term insurance and you want the final expense policy.
Okay.
Because keep in mind, you have that $500,000 term policy, but
Yeah.
when something happens, that insurance company still requires a death certificate before they're going to pay the 500,000.
Hmm.
So in the meantime, the loved one that's left behind is having to a GoFundMe. No,
Right, right.
you don't. GoFundMe's, let me tell you, GoFundMe's are not as lucrative, or they don't build cash as you would think they do, because
Right.
people today people today there we have so many people who are struggling financially,
Yes.
and we have a lot of people who have insurance. So when they see this GoFundMe,
Mm-hmm.
they'll think, no, you should have had insurance. And they're just really not contributing. And there's a cost for GoFundMe.
Yes, it is. It
Get
is.
the fee out of there also.
Right, absolutely. And they get it off the top
Exactly.
before
Exactly.
that they release any funds to that
That,
person or organization.
that's right. So
Mm.
that doesn't a GoFundMe doesn't it doesn't mean that the money's going to be there in time for the funeral.
Oh, that's so true. That's
Yes.
a good point.
Yes.
That
So
is a good point.
I hope that he'll understand the difference and the need for term insurance your whole life and your
Mhm.
final expense. And actually, what Prudential trained us to do was on a term policy that's for a
Mhm.
young couple, they need that amount. But
Right.
as kids become grown or go off, well, as as the house becomes an empty nester and
Yes.
only the parents are there now, that's when you want to convert some of that term to whole life insurance,
Okay.
because now it's about their life. Okay,
Yes. That's
earlier
it.
it was about the kids, and if something happened, this
Hmm.
is what would be needed.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's okay to shift and change at some point in your life, especially when you start getting older, like you said, with the becoming the empty nesters and the
Yes.
children are on their own. Yeah. Okay. That. Thank you for explaining that. So you said something, Miss Fran, that a whole life policy, term life policy, final expense policy. So with senior life, is a person having to purchase a separate final expense policy? Can you tell uh, us how all that goes together? Is that something separate that I have to purchase, or is that all kind of in a package deal?
No, no. Each of the policies are individual policies. If you would have a separate term insurance policy, you'd have a separate whole life policy, and of course, you'd have a separate final expense policy.
Okay.
But if you're putting your children, your stepchildren, or your grandchildren, or your great grandchildren on your final expense policy as a rider,
Mm-hmm.
you first of all, senior life will allow you to put, and I listen to me when I say this, up to 80. That's 80 children
Okay.
on your policy as a rider.
80?
80, yes,
That's
eight zero. I wanted to understand.
wait a
I'm not
minute.
saying
Let's
80. I'm
rewind.
saying 80. Yes, yes,
80.
yes. 80 on
Wow. So you can put up to 80 people on as a writer?
children.
Children, I mean, not
Yes,
people. Let's be clear
yes,
that.
yes.
Because
Because
if that was the case,
yes,
we'd be
yes,
riding on a whole lot of policies, wouldn't we?
yes.
So a
As a
person
it would
could put up to 80 children.
yes. So it could be your children, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren.
Yes,
Yes.
your
Yes.
children's children and your children's
Yeah.
children's children.
Yes. If they've had that many, yes.
Oh wow. Oh man, that's awesome. That's
It
awesome.
is.
Yeah, so that's wonderful. So people think about if you have children, grandchildren, and so with that being said, as far as children, grandchildren, uh, it is it okay for a grandparent to get a policy on a grandchild?
Definitely, yes. And
Okay,
we have when since now senior life again, we can sell insurance ages 30 days to age 85.
okay,
But our target market are the seniors. And so you'll have a lot of seniors who realize the importance of their grandchildren or their great grandchildren
hmm,
having insurance. And since we offer that rider, they're very pleased to know that, and they will add those
hmm,
grandchildren to
yes.
that policy.
Awesome. Yeah, because the truth be told, we have seen and heard. I mean, even in the news every day, we see so many incidents and situations
Oh yes,
about with young people, with children,
yes,
with
yes,
teenagers, young adults. Uh,
yes,
just what if it even if it's in the school, someone
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately comes in, and
Mm-hmm.
so it would behoove, I would say, use that word. That was a term that my grandparents and my
Yes.
mother and them used in the past. It would behoove a
Yes.
person to have their children, grandchildren, nieces. What about nieces and nephews? An auntie. I'm an
No,
auntie, so could I cover a niece?
no, we would have to actually write a policy on their parents, and then they
Okay.
could be on there as a writer. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So it is
But
so important, people, that not just you be covered, but you want to make sure that the young people, your children and grandchildren, are covered. Maybe they could be a writer on the policy, or maybe
mhm,
that's that young adult. I mean, you can get that, like, or early on, like Miss Fran said, that 20 pay whole life policy, that it's paid up
mhm,
within that 20 years. And
yes.
so as they go on and grow up, they'll have that policy paid up, but
Hmm.
and then they can get more life insurance as they go
Yeah,
along. But
yes.
think about how that would make that child feel as they grow up, and to remember that my grandmother, my grandfather, or my mother or father
Mm-hmm.
took care of me, was looking out for me,
Mm-hmm.
and here I am now, 20, 25 years later, that was taken care of. So to me, Miss Fran, that really speaks volumes, right? And it
Yes,
just really
it
shows
does.
how much they really care
It,
about
it
them.
yes, it does. It really does, and it's setting an example for them because you're probably too young to remember this, but I can
I don't
remember.
know, try me.
my, my parents set the example because
Mm.
they had that little brown envelope on the wall, the
Oh yeah.
insurance envelope.
Oh yeah.
Insurance man would come by,
Yes, I remember.
certain that they paid their insurance. So
Mm,
that set an example. But we have a generation that they didn't see that,
right.
and so they don't understand the importance of insurance. So
Yeah.
now it is our responsibility
Hmm.
to educate this generation and set an example, have them set the example for their children, so that when their children are parents, they can say, I remember my parents had this insurance,
Right. Hmm.
and we have to, because it's inevitable. We're all going to die. I
Yes.
had someone ask,
Yeah.
how many people do you think will die in Harris County this year?
Hmm.
100%. I mean,
Right.
you know, but because there's no exclusion, we can't say, oh, only 60% of the people will die. No,
Mm,
100% all over the world will. One day, all of us will, and
right.
and so we have to first educate them because they
Okay.
really don't understand insurance. Okay.
Hmm.
And then once they're educated and they take out that policy, it's
Hmm.
important to also have them understand, don't let this policy lapse.
Right.
Let
That's
this be a part of your budget. Sometimes
yes.
you have to break it down. I mean, they want to go to see Beyonce and pay $1,000 a seat,
See?
you
Yes,
know,
see?
and then you don't have $50 a month to
Right.
take care of your final expenses in the event that you were involved in an auto accident coming
Right.
from the concert. Uh,
Yes.
and then you paid $1,000 to go see her. Unfortunately you're in an accident, and now
Mhm.
people are having to get money from a GoFundMe or however, fish fryers, and to
Uh-huh.
take care of your final expenses. So
Yes.
we have to realize, I mean, when you go back, I mean, to the Bible,
Mhm.
they always took care of the burial sites, didn't they?
They
You know, they
did.
were they were
Did.
always buying burial sites.
Right, right. Real estate, property.
Yes,
Yes, absolutely.
yes. You
Absolutely.
know, so
Yes.
we have a responsibility now
Mhm.
to educate, and
Mhm.
once they're educated, everything else falls in place as far as the sale of that policy and them keeping that policy.
Yes, absolutely. So education is so important. We go to school, we go to college,
Mhm.
whatever type of school that we attend, we get degrees, we get certifications. Well, let's get certified people in this insurance industry, and
Mhm.
let's get educated so we can impart into that next generation so
Yeah.
they will be able to have their business in order,
Mhm.
stand on the shoulders, of those that have gone before you. And in this Black History Month, that we celebrate and commemorate those that have gone before us in society, in
Mhm.
whatever industry or field that we are in. We are standing on the shoulders of those leaders. And so, Miss Fran, we are fortunate to have people such as yourself that we can come and get educated and sit at the feet of. And so, with that being said, I just want you to speak to those that are aspiring or thinking about becoming entrepreneurs. Speak to the business opportunity with Senior Life and just some of the great benefits as a young entrepreneur or someone that's looking to get in the industry.
Oh yes, I will, and I'll start with Senior Life Insurance Company because when I share this with others, I tell them uh, I started, of course, over 40 years ago in this industry, and I've been with Prudential and other companies, but none of them offered the opportunity of entrepreneurship as Senior Life does. And it's so true when we say you come into this industry, you are in business for yourself, but not by yourself, because
Mhm.
we're there every step of the way to train you and to show you how to build this business. And what I appreciate about Ron Powell and his father Dale Powell and what they have done, they believe in generational wealth.
Yes,
And with this, you have generational wealth because the Bible says, leave an inheritance for your children's children. Well,
yes,
Senior Life is giving you that opportunity to do that because you're building your agency. And when you die, your family inherits your agency. And when they die, their kids inherit the agency. Because, see, the agency is going to continue. Just because I leave doesn't mean that people are going to stop buying insurance. And
right.
I have enough agent partners who's
Mhm.
going to continue this, and they're going to share and they're going to share, and it's still always going to still roll up
Oh
the,
yeah.
to me. So I'm passing it on, and I can appreciate that because, as I said, with all of the other companies, they never gave me that opportunity to
Mhm.
build my own agency through them.
Yes, that's
Unlike
excellent.
a broker, he can become a broker with, and the insurance company will say, here's a 200% contract.
Mhm.
That's great. But as he brings on other agents,
Mhm.
their commission comes out of that. He
Okay.
might start them off with a 70%, but it comes out of that 200. Senior Life isn't set up that way. Senior Life is set up where everyone comes in as an agency owner. You come in as an
Yes,
agency owner.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And the caveat to that, that agency doesn't have to have a brick and mortar, right?
that's right.
Yeah. So you save a whole lot of money, people, not
Yeah,
having that overhead of a brick and mortar with
yes,
Senior Life, but still yet with the ability and the opportunity, as she has said, to have your own agency.
yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Fran, for sharing that information. So, do you have any last words that you would like to leave with our audience today?
Well, for those of you that are considering maybe getting into the insurance industry, I know I've heard that, years ago, or especially when your kids were graduating from high school, going to college, you didn't want them to say that they were going to be an insurance agent. You wanted them to
Right.
be a doctor,
No, we
lawyer,
didn't say that.
Indian chief. But
Right.
the insurance, first of all, the insurance companies are some of the richest companies in the world.
Yeah.
And that is also rewarded to you when you become an insurance agent. And I'll give you an example. One of our agent partners did pull this information, and you can Google it also. But did you know that a McDonald's business owner
Hmm.
or a Chick-fil-A business owner,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, I mean, we'll pass the McDonald's and we'll see the drive-through line maybe all the way back to the
Yeah.
street. and
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, they have two lines. Now they're all
Yes.
having
Oh
like,
yeah.
so you think, oh, they're making a lot of money.
Hmm.
They're making a lot of money, but you know what? They have a lot of overhead. And
Yes.
the owner of that McDonald's or the owner of that Chick-fil-A, guess
Hmm.
what they end up taking home? Maybe a little over $200,000 a year is what they take home
Oh,
because they have such an overhead. Well,
wow.
you see, in the insurance industry, you can take home over $200,000 a year or
Hmm.
more,
Wow.
and you don't have the overhead that they,
Right.
you don't have the headaches that they have
Yeah.
with hiring employees and keeping up with those employees and
Hmm.
workman's comp and the benefits that you would give them and all, on and on and on.
Yes.
So now senior life, you can become a business owner with senior life for really less than $500.
Yeah.
Less than. And we're talking about getting your license with the state of Texas. If you don't have a license, to study to pass the course, and
Hmm.
then of course getting your appointment with senior life once you have passed the course, and you
Yes.
would have to also be fingerprinted. So it's still probably only around maybe $300,
Wow.
to
Just
start your own business and
how?
start making money from day one.
Right.
You know how long it takes a business owner to start seeing his real profit? At least 5 years. You
Hmm.
can start from day one
Hmm.
getting your commissions put into your bank account on a
Yes.
daily basis.
Absolutely. Y'all
Yes.
hear that, audience? And the good thing about this is we have people, leaders such as Miss Fran Fleming, that's there to help coach you along, train you along. Now, she's not going to hold your hand, but she's going to pour out of herself as much as she can. This is just a fragment on this podcast today of what she is sharing, what she does on a daily basis. So you have the opportunity, business opportunity, to have your own business, your own agency,
Hmm.
and become a licensed certified, I still say certified, Texas life insurance agent. So we are not here at Angela Hayes podcast. We are not, we just don't move with everybody, if I can put it like that. But we
Hmm.
have people here, such as Miss Fran Fleming today, with a wealth of knowledge, and not just knowledge, but years of experience, expertise in the industry. And I know that she's seen a whole lot of changes. She's
Yeah.
seen a whole lot, even just like she said, she works with funeral homes and she's seen a lot of deaths. So she knows what that looks like from a financial standpoint when it comes to having life insurance and a final expense plan
Yeah.
in place. And
Yeah.
so, Miss Fran, we are so blessed here today to honor you and to have you come on to this broadcast, the Angela Hayes podcast, Life Without No Limits. How tell the audience how you can be reached, how they can reach out to you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much again for allowing me to come on and share this opportunity. You can reach me. My direct number would be 832-754-4731. My email is Fleming Fran, and that's F as in Frank, LE, M as in Mary, ING, F as in Frank, RAN, at hotmail.com. And don't laugh at me because I have Hotmail. Everyone on tease me about having a Hotmail, but I do have a Gmail account, but I'm still so accustomed to my Hotmail, giving that number
We
out.
understand.
Okay.
Now, are you on any social sites, Miss Fran? How can they follow you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, my assistant has set me up on. She set me up on Facebook. I think I'll have to find out all the other sites. I leave that
Okay.
to her, but I know she has set me up on Facebook,
Okay.
and she might have even put me on. Is it the now? I'll tell you something. I'm not
Okay.
into it, so I'm leaving that part up to her.
Uh-huh.
I have a great assistant. Her name is Miss Sheila Cunningham. But she has me on. She has me on Facebook. She has me on. I think I'm on Instagram. I'm
Okay.
on. Um, let's see, several others.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So you all can follow Miss Fran on Facebook,
Yes.
Fran Fleming, and you can also follow her on Instagram. And we'll get back with more information on how on the other platforms that you can follow her on. So I encourage you
Yes.
to do that. This is a just gold that's sitting before us today. So Miss Carmen of Katy, Texas says, "Thank you, Miss Fran, for sharing your insightful nuggets of wisdom. May God continue to bless you." And so, if anyone out there has any more question, please, you can put them in the feed and you can reach out to us as well. And so, again, the information for you to donate to this podcast is listed at the bottom of this screen. Donations can be made at our Zelle. 979-334-2648 or at our cash app at $ Angelia Hayes, and a portion of that donation will be contributed to the nonprofit organization Life Revision Center Incorporated in San Antonio, Texas. And so I want you to stay tuned here at this broadcast. We're going to have a couple of announcements here at the end. But once again, I want to thank you, Miss Fran, for your time and for you sharing with us here today at Angela Hayes Podcast.
You're very
Life
welcome.
with
You're
no
very
limits.
welcome.
God
Thank you.
bless. I love you.
Love you too. Good night.
Good night. Stay tuned, everyone, for our announcements. As you can see, we do have the Unity Prayer Breakfast coming up this Saturday. Those of you that need tickets, it's $12. You can also get tickets at the door. We will be there as the speaker. Myself will be the guest speaker, Angela Hayes, at New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, where Dr. T.L. Richardson is the shepherd of the ministry. Also, my sister Sandra Hayes will be the psalmist and minister of music, and we will be there with many others. Also, in April 2024 is the Powerful Journey Annual Women's Conference. We will be there on the platform sharing with many other authors and doing our book signing of our new book release, More Than Meets the Eye, April the 20th in McKinney, Texas. You can register at Powerful Journey website, phyllisjenkins.com. You can register there for a virtual ticket or for an in-person ticket as well. So we're super excited and we are looking forward to what is coming up. Now, there's one more announcement that just got launched out on yesterday. So we may not have it on the screen, but I can go back and post it later. We will be sharing at the Brazosport College Black History Month Luncheon and Business Expo on February the 19th. So we have about 2 weeks. We will be there as a business speaker, as a breakout session to share with those individuals as we honor Black History Month in business and with a beautiful luncheon. So we're just thankful for Miss Kimberly Milligan, who is heading that up, and also for the director at Brazosport College in the Business Center, Miss Jennifer Finley. So God bless you all. I thank you all for tuning in once again to Angela Hayes Podcast, Life Without No Limits. Please share this video with many that needs this information, and click the bell on the YouTube channel so you can get the notifications when we go live. God bless and have everyone have a beautiful evening.